All right. Hello again, everybody. It's Ted from Rediker Software. Glad to be with you as always, and looking forward to running you through some of the latest updates to the adminplus.com environment, pointing out many ways that you could be using this every single day. And we realize that most everybody here is continuing to use Admin Plus Classic, and that's absolutely fine. In my environment, though, I have gone ahead and updated my settings so that I can make edits in the various modules in adminplus.com. That's a choice I've made, obviously, for these demonstrations at your school. You probably have not made these choices yet. Most of you are still doing all of your data entry and your editing in what we call Admin Plus Classic. That's fine. So some of the things that I'm going to do would not apply to you yet. However, many of the things that I'm going to show you would be absolutely applicable, even if you're not doing your editing in adminplus.com the way that I am. And I do want to make this general statement to everybody that's here. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't every single day have adminplus.com open. It only takes, in my environment, it only takes 3 clicks because I've created a bookmark to it and it has remembered my login. And so in about 2 seconds, I can be logged into the adminplus.com environment. Of course, this environment is in communication with your Admin Plus Classic. So as you add students or modify data or put in attendance or put in a discipline incident, that information is making its way up to this environment as well, which is why it is that I could come in here and pull up any student and see all their information. I see the demographic information and see their attendance data and see their schedule and their discipline record and their contacts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no cost for you to do this, and it's generally a good idea to start getting familiar with this environment. And some of you have even started to cut over and have users who have moved exclusively to using this interface. And that's because whatever they need to do during the day for their job is supported here, and they don't need to go back to Classic. Many of you still do for a little while longer. Last week, we issued what's called release number 8 to the program, which added something that's, it's kind of new and exciting. It's called the dashboard. And what you're looking at are a set of customizable tiles and charts that each user can specify for themselves. Each user can go in and manage their dashboard. We have created a library of about, I think it's about 20 such tiles that are kind of out of the box. And we've created 3 or 4 of the charts down below that are out of the box. These allow each customer to create brand new tiles or to take the existing tiles and go ahead and edit them. There are, I don't even know how many widgets there are just yet, but these are widgets that have been created, which point to various portions of the Admin Plus platform and allow you to specify certain criteria and then save those up and display them so that each individual Admin Plus user can bring new data right onto their dashboard. And for some users already, it's only been out a week, but we've already had some feedback from customers saying, oh my goodness, it used to take me a long time to find the list of the students who were currently at this moment in time failing a class. And so this particular widget has been set up to look into the grade books of all of the teachers. And with a threshold, I set my threshold at 59. So any student that has a current average of 59 or below, they're popping up right here on the list. So in about 2 clicks, I'm basically able to get this list of students that are, I guess they would be called at risk. And this is just one tile, but I could create several of them if I was a guidance counselor I may want to see specific information, like maybe it's my job to make sure that everybody has a homeroom assignment. Well, here are the 10 kids that don't currently have a homeroom assignment. Maybe it's part of my job to make sure that every single student has a schedule. Well, here are the 6 students that are not scheduled for classes. So I'm not going to go into detail on this next because I believe it's next week or the week after we're doing a special presentation dedicated just to the configurable dashboard. So we'll take a whole 20 or 25 minutes and go through the dashboard in much more detail. But this is something that you can get into now, every one of you. If for any reason you're unable to log into adminplus.com, just as a reminder to you, the URL is adminplus.com/ and your school's handle. And that would be the same handle that you would see in the Plus portals. My school's handle is the Shimura Academy. And therefore, frankly, if we just change this domain here from Plus Portals to adminplus.com and follow it with the school handle, you should get to the login page for your school. And as long as you have this enabled, you have a valid email address associated with your Admin Plus username, and your password is good, you should be able to go right in and get logged in. So the dashboard is absolutely one way that you could streamline your workday right now. It does not require you to turn on any editing capability in adminplus.com. None whatsoever. Data would be driven by the movements that you're making in Admin Plus Classic, and you could go ahead and take advantage of that dashboard. To show you another capability here in adminplus.com, there is a similar capability in Classic. However, I feel that this is much more clean. This is an email broadcasting tool that allows you to create email templates that can contain merge data from Admin Plus, from the student demographics, from the contacts demographics, from your school data. And what we mean by that are those things like your school's address and your zip code, and even the names and titles of administrators at the school, like the principal and the vice principal, that may change once in a while. And by putting their names in these special fields, if you created 15 templates and had these codes in there, and all of a sudden you did get a new vice principal, you would only have to change that person's name in one place here, and then all of the email templates would continue to work. Let me give you an example. I've created a template called Welcome Back for the Fall of 25. So this example is one where we're saying, hey, well, we want to welcome everybody coming back to school with me in the fall. Let's say it's the right time of the year to do that. This is one of several examples that we could come up with of the usage of this tool. But notice that it's got these merge codes in here where we're going to bring and personalize these emails. So we're going to grab information from the students and contacts record and merge it into the emails to personalize each one as we broadcast them out. So you'll see these placeholders here for things like the student's locker number and their locker combination, the homeroom that they've been assigned to, and the name of their advisor. I'm going to move through and select students. Now, I could select all students in the entire school. Got the ability to go by grade levels. I could choose based on matching criteria. So another example, in my database of 403 students, maybe I have one field that reads computer club. And in the actual data field, there's either a yes or a blank. And let's say I've got 88 students that are enrolled in the computer club, and my goal is to send them all a personalized email message. Well, I'd be able to filter on that field and pull them all forward. Let me go back to the grade levels. I'm pretty sure I've got some good data for all of my 8th graders. So I'm going to allow the program to select all of the active 8th grade students. Those will be the students, and we're going to send the email not actually to the students, although we could. we're going to send it to their contacts, the moms and the dads, and we're going to limit those to the ones that are in the household with the students. We're going to get a preview here so that we can see what it looks like. And sure enough, it's merging this specific information off of the student's record in Admin Plus. And I can flip through here if I want to get a look at a few of them. But usually once you look at one or two, you kind of know that everything is all set. And then we can go ahead and send this later up to 4 days into the future, or we could send it right now. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now we're partnered up with SendGrid here, a company that specializes in the delivery of messages, and the 51 emails have already been processed. They're already landing in the inboxes with a high level of reliability. So look, we're aware that some of you have AP Notify subscriptions and you've got an email component there. We're well aware that you've got the Plus Portals, and the Plus Portals has an email sending system as well. This one adds the ability for, number one, for you to not have to leave the Admin Plus environment to send these emails out, and it's bringing to the table that ability to so easily merge the information from the database into the outbound emails. This is very, very, very handy. And you can go ahead and do that for not only for the students, but you can also do that for the staff. So if you wanted to go ahead and have some, communications to all of your staff members, you could do the exact same thing here. So that's definitely a nice touch there in adminplus.com. Oh, I might as well mention that once again, it is not a requirement for you to turn on any of the editing in adminplus.com to make that happen. That is another tool that you could be using today without worrying or concerning yourself with changing your editing environment. I'm going to hit the Enrollment Center really quick because there's some information on here that is very, very useful, including the names of the recently added students to the school with hot links to go straight to their record. A quick calculation of your student-teacher ratio is very, very handy to have. The ability to add a new student here, for this, you do need to have the editing for demographics turned on. This is a way to enter brand new students into the school. And for those of you that are using Admissions Plus, you know that in Admissions Plus, you have that ability to tell the system that, hey, I've got a prospect here, and that we've taken them through the admissions process, right? They came in as an applicant. We moved them through. They had their reviews. We offered them a seat in the school. They said yes. We've made our decision to accept them, and all of the requirements for enrollment have been met. What happens in admissions is that they land on this list, and then by clicking Send to Admin Plus, it takes all that data about those ready to be enrolled prospective students, technically they are, and brings them right to this area here where this number would light up. And I'll just show you what one looks. This one that I've already brought in from admissions. Dan Johnson came in. All of this information was filled out, typically by the parents, using online application forms and other data gathering forms. They went through the entire admissions process, and like that, we can bring them from admissions and bring them on into the adminplus.com, receiving them from admissions. Okay, also recently added was the ability to import new students from a data file. So for some of you, if you have other admissions management tools where you're taking prospective students through the admissions process, and when you get them to that point where they are actually ready to be enrolled in the school, there's no need to hand enter them in to Admin Plus and reauthor all of that data. This capability exists in Classic as well. It's just a little cleaner and more modern here in adminplus.com. So we want you to be absolutely aware of it. Another way to streamline things is, it's not a big deal to go into once you're in Admin Plus Classic, it's certainly not a big deal to navigate to a student record and navigate to their portfolio. But One of the reasons, if you're looking for a portfolio document for a student, one of the reasons that you might want to do it here in adminplus.com instead, again, keeping in mind, pop this open in the morning in a browser tab, just let it sit there. If you don't look at it for a little while, yeah, it'll time out. But in 2 clicks, you could be back in. When it's time to look at a student's portfolio document, like this immunization form, we've got the online viewer for it. In less than a second, that file will be in your face and you can have a look at it. And if you feel the need to print it out or download it, of course, you can do that. But many times, you're just looking at the files that are in the portfolio, often validating some piece of data on them or looking at the data on the form. So this online portfolio document viewer is exclusive to adminplus.com and can certainly help you to streamline things throughout the day. Speaking of that, I'm going to go back to the snapshot here. You know, because this has been around for a while, I tend to kind of gloss over it. But then when I'm meeting with customers in private meetings and I pull this up and they haven't seen it before, it always takes them aback. And they're like, wow, that's an awful lot of information about one student on the screen. And when they realize they can just type in a portion of the name and get right there and be seeing this information coming from the contacts, the attendance area, the scheduling area, the discipline record, even GPA and credit information, all on one screen without even having to navigate to the individual tabs, which of course you can do. This is just another way that you might be able to streamline your day, especially if a big part of your job at the school is to reference this information. Now, again, I have my editing turned on, so if I needed to make a change here, whatever this is here, I don't know what that was, but if I wanted to update this field, I could go ahead and update it right here in adminplus.com and go ahead and save that up. And so I've got my demographic editing in adminplus.com turned on. It makes it easy for me to do that. Now, while we're here, it's worth noting that there are some other exclusive capabilities here in adminplus.com. And one of them I'm gonna take a second on here because this is kind of a biggie. So that when you're on the record in Admin Plus Classic and you go to grades, we all know that what we're looking at here is a snapshot, right? This is a snapshot of the student's first marking period, second marking period, their midterm exam grades, their semester 1 grades, their third marking period snapshots. And so in my school, we are in the third marking period, and these would have been brought in at some point in the past. Now, it could have just been 10 minutes ago, but it also could have been 2 weeks ago that I reached out to the grade books and retrieved the grades and brought them in. So this is not at all necessarily a current representation of how Aaron is doing in his classes. But if we go back to adminplus.com and take a look at this grades tile, you're going to notice the GB right here. And let me pop open the specs on this bad boy. This is kind of a big deal. I'm basically telling the program in column 1, show me the third marking period gradebook average. Live. This is a live feed from the gradebooks of the teachers who have this student in their class. And in the column 2, give me that snapshot, that admin plus, what we call the admin plus grade. Basically, that grade that would have gone on the student's report card and the one that's on their transcript from the second marking period of this year. So having this ability to get the current gradebook average or gradebook grade allows me to see exactly how this student is doing right now in their classes. If the teacher of this class Ed Hody was to go right now and put in an assignment result, like, I don't know, a quiz or a test that would change the student's average, I would be seeing that here. And so this is kind of a big deal that without leaving the Admin Plus environment, maybe you're a guidance counselor and it's your job to always be up to speed on how the students are doing in their classes. This is giving you real-time information about how the student is doing. And if you need a little bit more, here's another capability that is exclusive to adminplus.com, another reason why you might want to get in here once in a while. First of all, let me move to a different student, one that I know has some more data in the grade book. So Camille Adams, I want to go pull a progress report for Camille Adams. And I don't want to have to leave the Admin Plus environment and go over to the gradebook environment to get this data, even though the data is going to be coming from the gradebook environment. So basically what this thing is doing right now is reaching out. She's got a lot of data in here. She's my demo kid, right? So I've got a lot of information about Camille. She's enrolled in about 7 or 8 different classes. And for each one of those classes, I'm going to advance to the class that I know has mostly a lot of data in it, which would be that music class. Yeah, right here. So here's what's called a combined progress report, sucking the data live out of the grade books of all of this student's classes. Now, she's a pre-K kid, and she happens to have Dawn Canavan, for all of her classes. But even if this was an 11th grade student who had a different teacher for every single class, it would still reach out into every one of those grade books and pull in this detailed information. So you can see assignment names, categories, dates, scores, comments, right? Missing work in the music class. A lot of information here. And so this is something that is very, very powerful and gives you, again, a capability that you don't necessarily have. If you want to change the progress report settings, maybe that's a little bit overkill. All right, I have a lot, but not even all of the checkboxes checked. Like I don't even have the skills turned on. We could get right into the detail of how the student is doing on each one of the individual skills that are associated with the courses that she's enrolled in. So yeah, look at the attendance area. There is a lot of information here. It's potentially a very comprehensive or a very refined report according to how each Admin Plus user sets these settings. So you may want to get in there and goof around with this. It's very, very powerful, and it's just kind of a taste of some of these new capabilities that are coming to the table by virtue of the fact of us moving to adminplus.com. All right, but hold on a second. There's some more here. Let's see. We haven't done the demographics dashboard here. Oh, and I haven't done any attendance today. I'm going to do that too. Yeah, we got about another 5 or 10 minutes here. Over on the demographics tab, you'll see very, very convenient. It tells you what the day is here. And if I click on the one, it will expose any student that has a matching birth date. This is something that you could print out or push it out to Excel if you want to very, very easily. It's very, very handy to do that. By the way, earlier I made reference to some of this school information, and this is that area where you would go and populate these various school-related fields, which were then available to be merged into those email messages that we put out earlier. While we're here, let me go over to the daily attendance. I haven't enabled my attendance yet today, so let me go ahead and do that and tell the program that this is going to be rotation at my school. It's going to be rotation day number 5. I'm going to add the day to the calendar, and now that I can see that I actually have one of my teachers who has submitted their attendance. It's Jeanette Vanico. If you don't mind, give me 30 seconds here. I would like to add one more teacher's worth of data to this. I'm going to log in as Dawn Canavan, one of my favorite teachers. I'm going to navigate to her homeroom class. We're going to pop open the seating chart. and we're going to have her take attendance and indicate that we've got a couple of students who are missing from the class today, and we also have a couple of students that walked in late today. So there we go. I think it's 4 in 3. She's going to submit her attendance to me. She's all good. And back over in Admin Plus, let me refresh the screen here, and now we'll see that we've got the 2 teachers who have submitted their attendance. And so a very handy dashboard here to quickly see who has not submitted their attendance, either for homeroom or period attendance, of course, is also supported. Who have I approved? Nobody yet. Who has submitted? These 2. I can look at them here individually. I'm going to go ahead and approve that attendance data so that will start to drive these dashboards, which once again are exclusive to adminplus.com. I'm seeing my monthly attendance view here. Again, it's obviously a demo database. Got a lot of blanks here. That's not very realistic. And again, you would expect to see this data populated in your adminplus.com, assuming that you're using Admin Plus to manage your attendance data. We get the trends. Of course, in my system, I do have the ability now to edit. So, what always happens is, hey, Nina was marked absent in the classroom. And what do you know? 5 seconds later, she comes wandering through the door with a note, which looks good. And so we're going to change their attendance status to an excused tardy, and I'll update my attendance log for the day. And so this is a great place for an administrator to go in and do the correcting attendance process. And again, this does require that editing for attendance be turned on in adminplus.com. And of course, period attendance, as I mentioned, I didn't know somebody had submitted period attendance too, but it looks like somebody has. So I'll take that in as well. And that will allow us to go in and manage the period attendance. But while we're here, it's worth noting that we've got the recreated daily attendance bulletin. Got a great look and feel here. Provides even a little bit more data, that maybe not more, but certainly in a much more readable platform. We've gotten some great feedback regarding this grid, how easy it is to read. Download it, print it out, make adjustments to it. Again, maybe you don't care about, maybe, you're a K-12 school, but you are in charge of high school attendance. Or maybe just grades 9 and 10 are your responsibility. Go ahead and grade limit this to make it refined, choosing what fields that you want to have on there. And if you want to bring in any of the extra fields, you can go ahead and do that. One more thing I want to mention while we're here on these individual dashboards, the scheduling dashboard. Again, great way here to see that there are some students that don't have that aren't fully scheduled, and the number of active courses and sections that you have. And as we get into future webinars, we're going to start bringing in course requests. It's that time of year where many schools are allowing their students to go out and request at least their electives through the Plus portals, course request forms, and they want to bring those requests into the Rediker environment. So we're going to definitely be spending some time on that in the near future. All right, I think that's good for now. That's about 30 minutes, a little longer than I was planning on, but there's so much going on here, and there are so many ways we feel that adminplus.com could benefit you today and every day, even if you don't enable editing in the .com platform. Every user should start getting in the habit of logging into adminplus.com and using the features that are in here. And as usual, as I close out the presentation here and say thank you to everybody, always welcome feedback. I think most of you know that my email is ted@rediker.com, and I love to hear any feedback about the webinars or ideas for new ones. Okay, so with that, we're going to say thank you very much and goodbye. Have a great rest of the day.